Want to go over how to use this etching machine. What you want to do is get your stainless steel nice and clean. This is lacquer thinner. Just get all the fingerprints off of it. Make sure there's no oil on it. Then what you're going to go do is either you can do negative images like this, and it's a sticker. We're going to do different styles. Keep it so, well, you can see there's some pieces here. Be careful. We're going to apply the sticker. This is a test piece, what we're working on right now, so it doesn't have to be perfect, but I just want to try to show how to apply it. Gonna peel the transfer paper off. Just like that. Then we're gonna get the machine set up. We're gonna hook the ground clamp. Hook the ground clamp to the part. We're gonna get our etching wand. This, turn it on, plug it in the bottom of the etching wand. It says right there, for nameplate AC marking 3. AC, turn it to 3, turn it to marking. So we got our sticker applied, get our etching solution right here, Surfox E. We get our wand. Going to apply some etching solution onto this. Make sure it's nice and wet. Then we're going to start etching. So you want to make sure you go back and forth nice and slow and even. If you're unsure that you're going to go over the boundary, make sure you can see right here, you can use painter's tape and go around it. You're going to do this a few times. The more time you spend on this, the deeper the etch is going to be. You can see it's darkening. I'm going to put a drop or two on this. You don't want to go too slow over it. You want to kind of go back and forth several times. It'll make it nice and even, because if you just sit in one spot too long, it'll develop there too much. So that seems to be pretty good. What we can do now is hit it with the neutralizer, Sufox N. Give it a wipe, and we can see that's developing pretty good. Now we're going to peel the sticker off. We can peel the sticker off. To etch the job numbers into a existing stencil, I'll show you how to do that now. We've wiped this off, and you can see it looks nice and good. So we're going to lay our sticker down and etch it the same way. Make sure, sometimes it helps to draw permanent marker lines parallel and gets nice and straight. The same process. I took that off, made sure it's nice and good. Couple drops, and we're going to work our way back and forth. Don't hold it in one position again. You just want to slowly go back and forth. For about a minute. been etched and the sticker's removed, make sure you use lacquer thinner because there's residual glue on there. Get it nice off. Now these are a negative stencil, so the white space is porous and allows the etching compound through. You have to be very careful with these because they're reusable, and you can overheat them. So what we're going to do is lay it on top of the numbers, and we're going to tape it off. So I have some painter's tape. Going to make it nice and square on these numbers. Okay. Now this one you got to be very careful that you can't stay too long in the same spot because it could overheat the stencil. So again, put a couple drops on here. Just work our way back and forth a few times for about a minute. It's important to tape this on because it can shift. So not only is it good to make sure it doesn't shift, it's very good that it doesn't let you go over the side and damage the stainless steel you're not looking to etch. Put some more drops on it. Now this one you want to really make sure you get all the hard to reach areas. Make sure you're even going back and forth. Now more is always better than less. Like you can't make it too dark. You want to make sure you get good coverage. If you don't go over a spot enough, it won't etch either, so you want it to be nice and even. And there's a way to pull the tape off properly where it's not going to cause the part to shift, because you might have to put it back down. Usually it's around the perimeter that it doesn't get properly etched, the lettering. So what we can do now is we won't pull it fully off. We'll lift it up. That looks good, and you can see the tape still attached. I can tell that this has all been fully etched, but if you had to put it back down, if you're very careful putting it flat, you can put it back down and etch it. Now that this has been done, like I said, this is a reusable stencil, so what you really have to do is make sure it's cleaned well. So I usually spray it down with the neutralizer, spray this down several times, spray this down several times, and then you wash this with water. Be careful not to damage it when you're pulling the tape off. Like I said, don't sit in one spot too long because you can overheat the stencil. And I'm running a bit low on this. Just gonna run it under water, and then we'll pat it dry. A nice clean rag, there's no shavings in it or anything. You can lay it out nice and flat and just pat it dry. And leave it out for a little bit, and then we can put it back in a plastic bag so it doesn't get damaged. But it has to be dry. Really carefully, you can see around that A, it's not too solid. So what I'm gonna do is just wipe this down a little bit more with the neutralizer, and actually what's happening is there's something getting clogged in the porous because it wasn't cleaned well enough. So I'm just gonna do this, and I'm gonna gently wipe it back and forth on the back side. And actually you can see there's some brownish spots there. Once I do this, it'll be gone. And that's what I believe is causing some issues there. So make sure that's what happens when you don't clean it. So make sure you consistently clean it. So you can see the brown's all done. So it's telling me that that's back to being porous again. Now we're gonna do this one here, just a test. Be real careful around the pointed parts. Make sure you really press this sticker down. I know it's a pain to pull off, but if you don't properly push this down with the backing paper, you can end up with some issues right here. It's hard to see, but the edge of the twos, right there, you can see it, the sticker peeled off and it was an issue. If you're not sure and you haven't done this before you go and do something on an expensive piece of equipment, get a piece of stainless steel, clean it off, and try it out. The biggest thing is being consistent and making sure you clean it properly, making sure it's evenly dark. Before you peel the stencil off or the sticker or whatever, make sure you spray with neutralizer and you can look at it and see how it's gonna end up being, to see the contrast, and making sure it's nice and square. This isn't something that you can wipe off or whatever. This is permanently etched in here. So to remove this, you'd have to regrain the whole material. So it's very permanent. So be mindful of that. If you're not sure, ask, try out a piece, and go from there. A big sticker, keep in mind, like don't start attacking the whole sticker. Just do one letter at a time. Try one letter at a time. Make it nice and even. Get right in the corners and continue on. Go over it a few times if you need to. There's liquid there, because if there's not liquid underneath it, it's going to burn the brush and it's not going to properly etch. It requires the liquid to be there for the electrical current to go through. If you don't see bubbling on the edges, like, odds are you don't have enough liquid. Try to move around a bit, because if you sit in one spot, the same thing with that green etching paste, it'll heat up. Like, this is using electric current and water, so I find it'll heat up these little corners and they'll be disconnected. So if you're running across small lettering, try to go quick back and forth it, and make sure it's nice and wet. Before you peel the sticker off, it's best to just spray it with the neutralizer. Make sure you're okay. Like, you can see right here, the sticker's warm and it's disconnected, but I'm all done. This is good.